On today's show, I'm breaking down my top 15 Rangers prospects at midseason. And spoiler alert, there's a new number 1 overall prospect on the Rangers.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the World Series champion Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into the top 15 Rangers prospects, this episode of Locked On Rangers is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. Now let's go ahead and get started on yesterday's show. I started with number 30 through number 16 on my top Rangers prospect re-rank at midseason. So let's pick up where we left off at number 15. Left-handed pitcher Mitch Bratt, a guy who I have been very, very high on for quite a while. A guy who doesn't have the flashiest stuff, but has just pitched his butt off for his entire minor league career. At every level he's pitched at, he has been at least 3 years younger than the average pitcher at that level, which includes this year. I mean, last year he was in Hickory and also spent some time in Surprise. This year he is back at Hickory. He is pitching incredibly well. Didn't start the season off on the best start, but he has been so much better since then. The fastball is in the low 90s. He is a lefty starter, a pitchability kind of guy, 6'1", 190, a 5th round pick back in 2021, born in Canada. Also pitched for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic, in that absolute drubbing of him against the best hitters on the planet. Not exactly a fair outing for him, but hey, he got some valuable experience against some major leaguers. After a rough first month of the season, in April, he had a 6.75 ERA, had an ERA north of May, but the last 2 months, he has really been putting it together. In the month of June, he had a sub-2 ERA in 4 starts, and in 2 starts in July, he's got a sub-1 ERA with 14.3 Ks per 9. The guy strikes out a lot of batters. He's got a fastball, slider, added a sweeper a couple years back, also has a changeup that's pretty darn good as well, but really pitchability and command are his claims to fame. He does those very, very well. It's an underrated thing for a lefty. Doesn't have a whole lot of, he's not going to blow by, 99 by you. He touches 95, but mostly sits in the low 90s. A very, very competent pitcher who knows his stuff, knows how to pitch, and that is a valuable, underrated thing. The fact that he is still so young at this level, even though he's repeating the level, it kind of shows you how good he's been. I think if the Rough Riders rotation had a little bit more room, if there weren't so many darn good pitchers that are in Double-A right now, I think that he might end up getting a promotion. I think probably by the end of the year, he'll see Double-A, maybe when Emiliano Teodo ends up getting promoted to Triple-A, if that happens this year. I'm hoping that it does. I'm thinking that it will. But he has been a darn good pitcher that has flown under the radar because he doesn't have the flashiest stuff. But hey, pitchability, you can get outs even without the nastiest stuff in the major leagues. Number 14 prospect is a guy who MLB Pipeline doesn't have on their top 30, and I just can't really understand why. This is outfielder Alejandro Osuna. He hits left-handed, throws left-handed. The Rangers signed him out of Mexico back a few years back in 2019. I believe he was part of that class. He has just hit everywhere he has been. He has just hit incredibly well this year as well. He's made it all the way up to Double-A at 21 years old. He is 3.4 years younger than the average player. The concern with him is a shoulder injury that he had last year. It ended his season early. He had surgery to repair that, so that kind of started his season a little bit late this year. But in Hickory, he played 45 games, just under 200 plate appearances, an 824 OPS, solid. But in his first 13 games in Frisco, he has been absolutely on fire. hitting 340, on base just 3 ticks shy of 400, and an OPS of 1,019. 1,019 as a 21-year-old in Double A. In 58 games so far this year, he's got 11 home runs, 4 triples, 11 doubles. This is a career high for him in home runs. He had 9 last year in 97 games between Hickory and Down East as well. He has been just crushing the baseball as of late. Good to see him projecting that power. He fits more in a corner outfield, got some pretty good athleticism, got a really, really good feel for the strike zone at such a young age, progressing this fast through the system. I know there is always some concern with shoulder injuries, but the fact that he's putting up these numbers and just shooting through the system this fast, even with a delayed start to the season, that is a good sign, a sign that the Rangers are really believers in this kid. Now, the number 13 prospect, you may be surprised to hear him at 13, but this is kind of where he's fallen. Brock Porter, Rangers' 4th-round pick back in 2022, a guy who had first-round talent. The Rangers gave him the biggest bonus I think anyone's ever gotten in the 4th round because they signed Kumar Rocker to a well below slot deal with that number 3 overall pick money. They used that to kind of get basically 2 first-round talents back in 2022 because they didn't think they'd be picking it that high in the draft for much longer. Thankfully, they picked that high in the draft 1 year longer and got Wyatt Langford with the number 4 overall pick the next year. But still, this was a big swing for the Rangers. Porter is a right-handed pitcher who started the year in Hickory, listed at 6'4", 208 pounds, a guy who just turned 21 this year back in early June. He has been a big work in progress for basically since the Rangers signed him. There was a lot of great stuff there. I mean, the velocity on the fastball was fantastic. The changeup, exceptional. Slider, curveball, fine. Fine pitches that could end up being a plus, especially that slider was the better pitch. MLB Pipeline has him all the way at, he does not have a change. He doesn't have a curveball. It's just the slider. It's just the 3-pitch mix of the fastball, slider, and changeup. Changeup is definitely the best of those, but he had a funky delivery. And by funky, I mean bad. It was just not repeatable. There was a lot of head whip. He wasn't looking at the plate when he was releasing the pitch sometimes. And so the Rangers really had to rework that because that is not a great way to throw strikes consistently. And that is something that he has struggled with very, very badly. And this year it has been even worse. He was able to get away with it last year, not going super deep into starts because the Rangers were still working on building him up. He was against low A hitters, so not the most advanced hitters with the best feel for the strike zone, but against high A hitters, they just ate him up. His first start of the year, he had 4 walks in 2 innings. Second start, he had 3 walks in 3 innings. And his last start in Hickory, 6 walks in 3 1/3 innings. That was back on April 23rd. Spent a lot of time off in the Rangers Arizona Complex League, just reworking on his mechanics, reworking on everything. And, his first start out wasn't great. It was fine for the Arizona Complex League. 3 strikeouts in 2 innings and just the 1 walk. That was a great sign. Next start, no runs, no hits, 2 walks in 3 innings and 5 strikeouts. Great. Exactly what the Rangers were looking for. Last start out on 7-11, a third of an inning, just 1 out. Didn't allow any hits, got 1 strikeout, had a hit by pitch, and 3 walks and 3 runs. It was bad. It was a bad outing. The Rangers have a lot to rework with him. There's a lot of raw talent there, but this year has just really gone off the rails for him. It has been a really frustrating story for one of the top pitching prospects in the Rangers system. Still has some of the best raw stuff and some of the highest ceiling of any Rangers pitching prospect, but there is a long way to go. That's why it's so risky drafting high school pitchers, as we've seen. The ceiling is still there, but he's got a lot of work to get there. Number 12 prospect in the Rangers system, Josh Stephan, an undrafted 2020 signee, made it all the way up to AA. He was born in DeSoto, graduated from South Grand Prairie High School back in 2020. He was one of those undrafted 2020 signees. The Rangers had quite a few of those, including Abimelec Ortiz. This year in Frisco, the numbers haven't been great. A lot of that was more due to a really, really rough start. He's bounced back a little bit, not all that much. I mean, the first couple of starts of the year were incredibly rough, an ERA of 8.44 in 2 starts in April, but the stuff is still there. The strikeouts are there. A lot of pitchability on him as well. Not going to blow 99 by you, but the strikeouts have still been there. Not quite as much this year as they were last year. Still a guy who I'm pretty high on, being 22. He's still got plenty of time to figure it out. But you'd like to see him bounce back in the second half. I definitely don't see him, moving up to AAA by the end of this year. But he just needs to work on the things he needs to work on and get a little bit better. But the fact that he is, 22 years old in the AA rotation, that's a great sign, especially for an undrafted free agent. Coming up, we're going to look at the rest of these top 10, including a number 11 pick who I actually had on the show a couple years back, right after this word from our sponsors. This show is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. This show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best way to get tickets for any kind of event you're looking for. Whether you want to go check out some of these prospects in Frisco, or even go check out the Major League Club, hopefully on their run to another championship in the second half. Game Time is the easiest way to get your tickets, and there's also the Game Time lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% the difference. Game Time also has ticket coverage, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. They've also got all-in pricing, so you can see your total up front, not be hit with these surprise fees late on. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, the next prospect on my top 15 is number 11, Cam Cauley, Rangers' third-round pick back in the 2021 draft out of Barbers Hill High School in Mont Bellevue, Texas. Texas kid, was on the podcast a couple years back. Really liked the kid. Very much a he's kind of got an archetype to him. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Ian Kinsler, one of the guys who doesn't have the most impressive raw tools, but always squeezes every single bit of juice out of his baseball talent. This year, he has been with Hickory as a 21-year-old. He plays shortstop and also second base. I think he can stick at shortstop. He's got elite speed. Absolutely elite speed, and he has been a menace on the base paths in his minor league career. 101 stolen bases to just 14 times caught stealing, and as of late, he has just been on a tear in the month of July for the Hickory Crawdads. In the month of July, he's played 6 games, 23 plate appearances, hitting .364, on base of .391, slugging 1,046. That is a 1437 OPS. 4 home runs in 6 games will really help juice those numbers. He has been on a home run tear, a couple of home runs on the 3rd of July, a home run on the 6th of July, and then a home run in his most recent game on the 14th of July. The dude has been just mashing as of late. He's got quick bat speed. He's got a pretty good recognition of the strike zone. Again, that elite speed is his carrying tool. Hits for a little bit more power than I think most anticipated. Career high 12 home runs in 2023 as a 20-year-old, splitting time between Down East and Hickory. He's been just in Hickory this year, still younger than the average player of that league. 9 home runs so far this year in 59 games. I think he'll probably break that career high this year, especially if he keeps hitting home runs like this in July. Really like this kid. I think he is a solid prospect, and I can't wait to see him in AA, whether that's this year or whether that's next year. Next guy on this list is number 10. We are into the top 10, Paulino Santana. the Rangers' top signee in the international class. This year, the 17-year-old outfielder has played 30 games with the Dominican Summer League Rangers Red Team, and in those 30 games, he is hitting .284 with an on-base of .466. Slugging just .367, hasn't shown a whole lot of pop just yet. 0 home runs in those 30 games, but 3 triples and 3 doubles. Still would like to see a little bit more power there, but again, he's 17 years old and already playing pro ball. That is exciting, especially since he just got signed this year. There are a lot of unfair comps given to him, like comparing him to Julio Rodriguez. That is a deeply unfair comp, especially since, he was an absolute superstar basically from day one, but the speed and power is legit there. The arm is the only tool that isn't potentially plus in the future. There is a lot of comparisons to him being a guy who moved quickly through the system, like Sebastian Walcott. But Walcott last year just played, I believe it was 9 games. Yeah, 9 games in the Dominican Summer League team before he moved to the Arizona Complex League, and Paulino has already played 30. So I'm just waiting to see when they finally call him up to the Complex League. Seems like he's not getting a whole lot of pitches. 31 walks to 23 strikeouts is kind of crazy in 146 plate appearances. I mean, the walk rate is absolutely astronomical. He is a very advanced hitter. He is hopefully going to show a little bit more of that pop soon. But the fact that he's putting up these numbers at that age, very encouraging sign. Honestly, cannot wait for him to get to stateside ball, and I think we'll know a little bit more about him then. Number 9 prospect in this top 10 is Winston Santos, the right-handed pitcher, a 2019 J2 signee. This year has been his breakout year. He pitched in the Futures game. He has been absolutely phenomenal with Hickory, not as much so with Frisco, but he's only pitched in 2 games for Frisco. Absolutely lit up Hickory. He got a 2.80 ERA in 64 1/3 innings, 11.3 Ks per 9, under 3 walks per 9. The fastball is probably the best in the system with a combination of velocity and also spin rate on it. The shape of that pitch is absolutely fantastic. The slider has been much, much better this year. Last year, his numbers were just straight up bad because he did not have much outside of that fastball, and as good as it was, it just was not good enough to be the only pitch that he threw. It's got to be an absolutely special fastball for that to be the only really good pitch you have. It sits 92 in the mid 90s now. Touches all the way up to 98. It has been a very, very good pitch after a rough first outing in Frisco. His second outing was much, much better. 2 1/3 innings with 5 runs. The first outing, 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 unearned run, and 7 strikeouts in his second outing with Frisco. I need to get out there and see him at some point soon because this kid has been absolutely fantastic this season. One of the stories of the year. Number 8 prospect in this Rangers system, a guy who I believe I had 7 in the preseason. That is Echedry Vargas, the shortstop / second baseman / third baseman with the Down East Wood Ducks this year. The 19-year-old has been doing very well in his first full season of pro ball. Last year, he made it stateside and with the Arizona Complex League. He was absolutely crushing it. 11 home runs last year in 52 games there. Played 1 whole game at Down East, and this year he started the season again at Down East so he could get some shortstop reps because the guy who was playing shortstop at the level above him, well, let's just say he's the Rangers' number 1 prospect and was probably going to get a lot more shortstop reps than Vargas would. He has been getting better throughout the months. The first couple of months of the season, a sub 700 OPS in the month of June was his best year by far. 5 home runs in 19 games in June, an 886 OPS. July has been fine. Not quite as good, but fine. He's really turned the power on this year since June. April, just 1 home run. May, just 1 home run. 5 homers in June, 2 so far in 9 games in July. Hopefully he can keep up those home run numbers. The strikeout rate has been fine. The walk rate is not great. He is, not a guy who is going to walk a whole lot. A very aggressive hitter who gets the most out of his diminutive frame. He is listed at 5'11", 170. I think he's bulked up a little bit since then. But a guy who's a legit shortstop with some legit pop. He is going to be pretty aggressive in the zone, but he is going to get the most out of whatever raw juice that he's got. The game power plays up a little bit with him, but definitely an exciting prospect. The number 7 prospect in this system is a guy who has been, for my money, maybe the second or third biggest story of this Rangers minor league season. That is, of course, Emiliano Teodo, listed at 6'1", 165. He's definitely bigger than that now. He has been absolutely carving in Double-A Frisco this season, a 1.71 ERA in just under 69 innings, nearly 12 Ks per 9, 4.5 walks per 9. Again, always going to be the problem with Teodo. But there's something that I want to talk about with the Major League team and why it's so important to Teodo. The fact that this Rangers bullpen has been so darn good, the fact that Kirby Yates and David Robertson have been so darn good, I think it really has impacted Teodo. Because when a guy throws all the way up to 103 miles an hour as a starter, you think, okay, let's go chuck that guy in the pen right the heck now and put him in our Major League pen because he has that good of stuff. But because the Rangers pen has been so good, it's allowed the Rangers to stick with him as a starter, which has been absolutely massive. He had his best game of the season on the 30th of June, 10 strikeouts, 2 hits, just 1 unearned run, just 1 walk in 6 innings against the Corpus Christi Hooks. The guy is going to stick as a starter as long as the Rangers can keep him there. Looked really darn good in the Futures game, and I am a big fan of Emiliano Teodo with his changeup and his slurve and his fastball. I think this guy is a legit starter. I think he could be all the way up to a mid-rotation starter. And oh my God, what a joy that would be for the Rangers if they could get Emiliano Teodo or just any homegrown starting pitcher that's at least mid-rotation quality. The next guy on this list, I'm not going to talk too much about because you already know about him. It's Jack Leiter, the Rangers' number 6 prospect on my list. Since he's gone back to Round Rock, he's been hit and miss. He's had a couple great outings, including on the 18th of June when he pitched 7 innings of no walks, 8 strikeouts. It's been a little rough those last couple of starts. He's combined for 9 innings and 6 walks in those 9 innings. He's Jack Leiter. You know about him. He's not ready for the big leagues just yet. I think he might be ready next year. But again, we'll have to see what's going on with him. I have talked about him ad nauseum, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the top 5, including someone who was not in my preseason top 30, jumping all the way up to the top 5. Right after this word from our sponsors. This episode of Locked On Rangers is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're even talking about your rival cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you can find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city. If you're looking at some of those trips in September, towards the end of this season, trying to make a Rangers-related trip to see where the Rangers are, hopefully at that point those games against Seattle will be critical. Seattle is a lovely city to go visit. You can also go look at Oakland, those final games of the regular season, or maybe if the Rangers make the playoffs, you can make a trip to, I don't know, say Baltimore, or maybe even your rival city in Houston for another all Silver Boot ALCS, because the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com, on the site, or on the Booking.com app. This show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active users. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, PrizePicks is just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends. Become part of the PrizePicks community. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Now, last year when the Rangers made their 5th round pick, taking a guy out of Miami with a 6.5 ERA, I thought, okay, that's weird. I guess you're going to waste your 5th round pick. That's an interesting move. I don't get it, but sure, why not? And the Rangers picked Alejandro Osuna, which might have been, well, they had Wyatt Langford the first round. But after Wyatt Langford, this pick is looking absolutely like one of the biggest draft steals. The number 5 prospect in my system at midseason is Alejandro Osuna, the right-handed pitcher who has been the story of the season for the Rangers minor league system. He has been the story, mainly because Wyatt Langford was not in the minor leagues, but he has been absolutely fantastic this year. He's made it all the way up to Hickory. The 22-year-old starting pitcher has made 10 starts in Down East and now 3 starts with Hickory. With Down East, he was putting up absolutely insane numbers. 47 innings, 69 strikeouts, a 2.11 ERA for him in Down East. With his last 3 starts in Hickory, the first one was fine. Second one, hit and miss. But so far, his strikeout numbers in Hickory at a higher level have been even better. In Down East, his strikeout rate was 13.2 Ks per 9. In Hickory, it is up to 16.5 Ks per 9. You combine his numbers at both levels. He's pitched just over 60 innings, 94 strikeouts, 1.5 walks per 9, nearly 14 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's got a fastball that touches up to 100 miles an hour, sits in the mid-90s, 94 to 98. The thing that the Rangers did with him that made him so much better is that they worked on his delivery quite a bit, tweaking it to make it more deceptive. He was really showing a lot of his pitches early. Hitters were able to see the pitches very, very well. With the changes that the Rangers have made with him and his delivery, he hides that baseball much, much better, and it is able to play up much better with his stuff. He's also got a slider, which is a potentially plus pitch, and a splitter, also a potentially plus pitch. The fastball has been his bread and butter. It has been getting swings and misses and weak contact. He is pounding the strike zone. He is not walking guys. He has been absolutely fantastic this year, doing everything the Rangers wanted and then some. This looks like a huge, huge scouting win for the Rangers, a huge draft win for the Rangers, and something they have not done with pitching prospects in a long, long time. I really had to fight myself to not put him even higher up on this list because it has just been half a season, but what a half a season it has been for Alejandro Rosario. Number 4 on my prospect list for the Rangers at midseason is Anthony Gutierrez. He was the Rangers' top signing in July of 2022. I believe that was January of 2022. This year, he has gotten all the way up to high A Hickory. He is 19 years old, 3.2 years younger than the average player at that level. Every season for the last couple years, he has been about 3 years younger than the average player at his league. Last year in Down East, 3 years younger than the average player there. The year before, in 2022, as a 17-year-old already in the complex league, he was 3 years younger than the average player at that league. This year, the numbers won't overall wow you. Does not have a home run this year, which has been a little concerning that he hasn't shown that pop that the Rangers think is definitely in there. He's a guy who plays center field. He's got a good knack for the strike zone. The on base at 305 so far in Hickory this year. It's been fine, not great, but the fact that the Rangers are pushing him this aggressively through the system, if it wasn't for Sebastian Walcott, this would be one of those head-turning moves of, oh, they got a teenager in high A. Well, they've got 2 teenagers in high A that are showing varying levels of success. The Rangers are still internally very, very high on this kid. I think the potential is super, super high on Gutierrez, and that's why I have him as the number 4 prospect in this system. The number 3 prospect in the Rangers system is Kumar Rocker. You may be saying, wait, Kumar Rocker is still here? Yeah, he's still here, and his ceiling is still the highest of any pitcher in this system, which is why I have him here. He made it all the way up to the top 100 prospects in MLB Pipeline, literally the day that he got UCL repair surgery last year, which also happened to be on the same day as Tyler Mahle got his UCL repair surgery. Both of them are rehabbing. So far, Kumar has started in 2 games, both of those with the Arizona Complex League team, 2 innings at each start. He's got 4 strikeouts in those 2 innings, has allowed 2 runs total, 1 in each of those 2 inning starts. We'll see when he actually gets back up to the level he's supposed to be at, which will definitely be Double-A, but the stuff is still there. The Rangers reworking his delivery to make him a little bit more consistent, to use a little bit less of his shoulders for hopefully less blowout potential for injury. The guy has still got a nasty, nasty slider, probably the best slider in the Rangers system. I think it's probably either down to him or Alejandro Osuna for the best slider in this system. The fastball still plays up. He's still got that huge frame at 6'5", 245 pounds. I'm a big believer in Kumar Rocker, the work ethic, the intelligence, the drive to be great. And everybody has Tommy John surgery. It just happens to everybody. And I don't know why everyone immediately jumped off the Kumar Rocker bandwagon as soon as he got that surgery. It happens to pretty much every prospect, pretty much every pitcher. So they're going to have it at some time. It's just a matter of time with how baseball works these days. But I'm still a huge believer in Kumar Rocker. We'll see how some of those other pitches, I think they will determine a lot of his success, whether that changeup can play up to at least an average pitch, whether the fastball can, play up as well. He has got a curveball that is also potentially plus, but that slider is definitely his bread and butter. I am still a huge believer in Kumar Rocker. We'll see what he looks like when he actually gets back, what that timeline is going to be. I'm hoping that it's the end of July, maybe early August is when we see him on the mound in Frisco, but I am really excited to go see him in person because this guy has still got all the potential in the world. Number 2 prospect in the Rangers system is Justin Foscue. Guy who's played second base, who has made his major league debut, has been rehabbing from that oblique strain that caused him to go on the IL, the 60-day IL, almost immediately after because of his first major league hit, his first major league run driven in. Of course, it came off of Josh Hader. Loved seeing that. Did not love seeing him go on the IL. I think he really could have helped the Rangers this year with their DH problem, not having to acquire Robbie Grossman. I really think that is a direct result of this injury, was acquiring Robbie Grossman. But so far, he has gone back to AAA Round Rock. Hasn't been, lighting the entire world aflame like I would hope. Still pretty darn good numbers, especially the last 28 days in Round Rock, which includes a little bit of time in June and July. But in those last 28 days, 18 games for him at Round Rock, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, an on base of 442, slugging 492. This guy has very, very good at bats. He puts together quality at bats. He's got some power in there that's very, very streaky. He's a darn good hitter. Major league caliber hitter. The defense, we'll see. With that, more of a DH / left field / first base / second, maybe third kind of guy, but a guy who is a really darn good prospect. And the last guy on this list, of course, the number 1 overall prospect is now Sebastian Walcott, the shortstop out of the Bahamas, who is an 18-year-old in High A Hickory. A very, very aggressive assignment for the Rangers. He played in just 4 games in Hickory last year. He is 4.2 years younger than the average position player in the Sally League, putting up numbers that aren't going to wow you, but the fact that he's doing it at this level and competing at this level, not getting overblown, that is an incredibly impressive sign. He had a great month of June. July has been better as well. An OPS below 650 in April and May. The first couple weeks of the season were just brutal for Walcott. It looks like, this kid is overmatched. This is probably too aggressive of an assignment for the Rangers. But no, he wants to make the big leagues as a teenager like Jurickson Profar did. That is an aggressive thing to state as your goal, but this kid has got all the raw talent in the world. The arm is probably the strongest in the system. No, definitely the strongest in the system. Absolutely massive bazooka arm there. Listed at 6'4", plays a legit shortstop. Is absolutely going to be a shortstop, I'm pretty darn sure. He's still got room to fill out. The raw pop is off the charts. 7 home runs so far for him. 16 doubles, 4 triples in 315 plate appearances. The on base at 333 is better than I expected it to be. The walk rate is significantly higher than I expected it to be. as a kid who is so young and still very, very raw, the swing decisions, the aggressiveness, he's very, very aggressive. I didn't think he was going to be a guy who walked all that much, but a 12% walk rate as an 18-year-old in Hickory, that's impressive. Now, the strikeout rate is also impressive, but not the best way. 28% strikeout rate for him. Definitely needs to bring that down. But the fact that it's not over 30, it's trending in the right direction as of late. The walks have been impressive. He is not overmatched, which at this point, at that age, at that level, that is the thing you're looking for is, oh, he can handle this. He's not overmatched. He is getting better. He is, working at, he is putting together quality at bats, and he is showing in-game numbers that are impressive. This is a kid who is a very, very talented player and a very deserving top overall prospect in the Rangers system. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy World Series champion Texas Rangers baseball.